Welcome to your banking sheet. This sheet is kind of your motherboard for all of your other sheets. This is where most of your information is going to be pulled from. So let's start at the daisy in the top. Again, only fill in the light blue colored cells. Leave everything else untouched. Make sure that you aren't deleting or adding any rows or columns, and you're not switching any of them around because that can mess with some of the formulas, and we don't want that because then the sheet won't work as it's supposed to. Setting it up. The first thing we're going to do is, if we need to, we can change the different accounts we have. So you can use up to 3 accounts on this sheet. Here we have checking, savings, and your credit card. If you have different kinds of accounts than the ones that are listed here, you can change them. So only change this one that says savings, or this one that says credit card or CC. And those are the only cells that you can change that aren't in the light blue color. So if you do need to do that, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, try to keep them the same here. If you only have 2 accounts, you can go ahead and delete that altogether. Or if you only have 1 account, you can delete that one as well, so that only this 1 account of rows shows up, and it just makes the whole sheet a little bit more clean. But for this purpose, we're going to keep those in there. So now we want to input our starting balance for each bank account. And this is really the only setup that we have to do. So in our checking account, let's say we're starting with $2,000. In our savings, we have $1,000. And then let's say our credit card balance is $457. Those are just random amounts. This is what our balance is. And then our balance will keep updating based on what is spent and also what is deposited into those certain accounts. So now I'll show you how we fill this in. So let's start over here. In our far left column, we're going to input the date. Let's just say on January 1st, 2024, our rent comes out. This column here will be for vendors. That's more for any inventory and things like that you will receive. You remember we put the vendors into our categories sheet, so those will show up here when you need them. Otherwise, just leave that blank. So on January 1st, we pay rent. And it's company 1 that we are paying our rent to, so that's under the description. These are all of our subcategories that we filled in, so that just helps us to stay a little bit more organized. This is money that is coming out of our account, so we're going to go to the out column, and like in our budget, our rent is $1,800, and that is coming out of our checking account. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under checking and check that box there, and then automatically that amount is going to come out of our account. So now you see we had $2,000 starting in our account, but we just paid rent, and that was $1,800, so we have $200 left in this account. This money came out of our account, so we're going to go to our out section here, and we are going to input that number again. You'll see that your taxes that you collect are automatically up here at the top. That's why it's important that those are the taxes that are in your first 2 tax numbers. For the sake of this, let's say that we're paying 5% GST on that number. Under the out column here, we're going to put in $1,710. Once I put that in, there's an error over here because we're missing $90. There's a difference of $90 between this number and this number over here. 5% of $1,800 is $90, so that GST is $90. Now everything is lined up and we have $0 error. If you want to make any notes on the side, you are more than welcome to do that as well. Moving on, let's do another example. Let's say we deposited some money on January 5th. Income, let's say it came in from online. So now because we're putting money into an account, we're going to go under this in column, and we're going to enter the amount put in. So let's say we're putting in $4,300 and we're putting that into our checking account. So once again, we're going to check off our checking account, and then we now have $4,500. Now we're going to go over here to our in column. Under the in, we're going to put our subtotal. So in our case, we're going to say that our subtotal was $3,784. Under this in column, you want to make sure that it is a negative number. So we're doing negative 37.84. Then we're moving over to our GST, negative $215. And then we're going to move over to the PST, which is $301. And I forgot to put a negative, so you'll see that that shows that we have an error there. So let's change that. And now we're good. We have 0 error. If we wanted to leave a note, we could also do that there. But now that we have a little bit of money, let's pay off this credit card balance that we have. On January 5th, we're going to make a payment and we're going to transfer over the money to our credit card. So our type is transfer and description. We put in our subcategory credit card payment. So first we'll say what we're taking out of our checking account. Let's say I only want to pay $400 of this. So we're going to take out $400 from our checking account. We're taking out $400. No discrepancy there. Let's leave a note, just so we have a clear idea of what this payment is for. Especially sometimes if you're not paying off the full amount, then you can have a better look at what still needs to be paid off. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to insert the same criteria in the row below. Except this time now we're putting money into our credit card to pay that money off. So we're going to put the exact same number as what just came out of our checking account into our credit card. And then we're going to check our credit card. So now you'll see we have $57 remaining. This money went in. So we're doing negative 400 here. And then we are clear there. And then sometimes it's good to just have the same note for that, so we know that those are both part of the same transfer. Maybe the next day we want to transfer over some tax money into our savings account, because that's where we're keeping everything for our taxes so that we aren't spending that money that we will eventually need to pay back to the government. So in our previous income, we collected $516 worth of taxes. So maybe we're just being proactive and we want to do that now. We're going to, again, choose transfer. We don't have an option here yet, so let's maybe go back to our categories, transfer, savings. There we go. Now we have a good description there so we know what's going on. And let's take out the $516 from our checking account. We wrote our note. And now we're going to put in the $516 to our savings account. No discrepancies, and there's our note. You'll see that everything updates as we go. This is our balance for our checking account, our balance for our savings account, and then our balance for our credit card. You can always make sure that those numbers are matching your actual bank balance. We still have a little bit of money, so let's purchase some inventory a little bit further into the month. If we're purchasing inventory, we're going to put in our vendor here. Who are we going to buy from? Let's pick Birch Babe. Here we're choosing inventory. And then here we're buying wholesale. Let's say that we spent $654.97 and we paid that with our credit card. That money is coming out of our account, so we're going over here. Under our out section, our subtotal is going right here. This is usually information you can get right off of your receipts or your invoices. And then our tax for this purchase, you'll see that we have $15 remaining in the error, and that's because we paid $15 in shipping. So now we have no error, and usually in the notes I would like to maybe make a note of the invoice number or the order number. All of our accounts are now updated. And then the last thing I'll show you is what to do if you owe someone money. Or let's say you use your own personal credit card to pay for something and then your business is going to pay you back. So just like anything else, you'll fill all the information in. So let's say you used your own personal credit card to pay for an order from a vendor. So you can put that in just like you would. This is inventory. We're doing wholesale again. Now, because this money isn't coming directly out of your account, we are going to keep these all blank and we're going to move to out over here and let's put our numbers in. The total of what we have spent is $105. Under owed, we're going to put in negative 105. That brings our error to 0. Make a note. Paid on my credit card. Now that money is money that is owed to you. So when we want to pay that back to ourselves, maybe we do that a few days later when we have the funds. This time we're transferring money to ourselves, but maybe you want to create an expense or a category that is reimbursement if you're needing to reimburse anyone else. So in this case, we're going to do a transfer and we're going to reimburse ourselves. So remember, everything has already been tracked under the inventory, so that's why we're putting this in as a transfer, because we don't want it to be marked in there twice. So we're transferring it and we're reimbursing ourselves. The amount is coming out of our checking account, and that is $105 coming out. We're going to check our checking account and that balance automatically gets updated. And now because we already have all that tracked under out here, this is just money that is simply being paid back. So we're going to put that here in a positive amount so that those cancel out. There's no money still needing to be owed. And we can say that they have both been paid. So the amount automatically changes and the color changes. So if you don't have any orange, then you're in the clear. This has been paid. And we can add the date that it was paid as well. So it was paid on January 28th, 2024. And then we can make a note. We could have added the invoice number there. And now we have all that information in there. And then you just keep keeping track as money is spent and money comes in, and you'll see how that updates on your next sheets.